Hello guys, this is Olayeni Dieko Daniels, and welcome to another episode of my lecture under the Dieko Daniels School of Law. Today we'll be talking about criminal law, introduction to criminal law specifically. And this is the first time that I will be discussing, matters regarding criminal law. I'm very sure that most of you currently listening, watching this video would have seen how to get away with murder or stuff like that, and if you had seen it, then you would understand that criminal law is a very interesting course, especially when it's put to practice. Right now I would not be able to put it into practice while teaching you like Analyst Keaton would have done, but I'll try my possible best to explain the concepts under criminal law to the best of your understanding in such a way that it's going to be almost as if you were in an actual courtroom learning the law. And with that, if this is your first time of coming to my channel, please make sure that you click the subscribe button and make sure that you also click the notification bell so that anytime I release any other video concerning criminal law, the law of tort, or any other video that will be of concern to you, you will be one of the first set of people to get notified. So with that, let's go straight to our lecture. Today's topic borders primarily on the introduction to criminal law, and so I will go through my notes. Law is the pillar of any society, an instrument of stability, and above all, the machinery for regulating the conduct and activities of the individuals and institutions of the society. Every society, therefore, creates law in order to regulate the conduct of citizenry. Hence, law is better understood in terms of its role in the society. The criminal law is the principal law of crimes and the focus of this course which you are about to study. It is also the substantive law which prescribes what crime is, the type of act or omission which the law prescribes or proscribes, as well as the sanction for violation or non-compliance. The criminal law imposes restrictions on human activities or omissions. This is suggestive that law generally and criminal law in particular is antithesis of freedom. In this context, freedom would mean not liberty to do whatever pleases you, but liberty to do whatever you want within the limits imposed by criminal law. Viewed from the opposite perspective, criminal law expands rather than contracts your freedom. The reason is that man is not just an individual living alone in an unrestrained state of affairs. Rather, he is a human being living in a community with other humans, and the criminal law merely exists in the circumstance to limit his freedom with the objective and reality of expanding your freedom as a whole. As you proceed in this course, you will learn a number of these prescriptions and proscriptions. Basically, there is no single law on crime. Criminal law is written and forms part of our statute laws. In pre-independence time, criminal law was contained in various ordinances drawn up by the governor in council on the advice of members of the House of Representatives, published from time to time in the Nigerian Gazette. Now, they are passed by the State Assembly or act passed by the National Assembly. They are contained also in edicts passed by the military governor of a state or decrees passed by the federal military governor. Example of such ordinances or edicts or decrees or laws or acts are the criminal code law or act, the penal code, the Sharia law, the road traffic ordinance or law or act, the dogs ordinance law or act, the liquor ordinance law or act, the corruption and financial act, and etc. etc. There are numerous act or law and subsidiary legislation which have created crimes. However, the prescription of the crimes we'll be learning are contained in the penal code applicable to 19 states and the criminal code applicable in 17 southern states. That's 19 northern states and 17 southern states. Now, with this brief introduction basically on criminal law, what I am telling you is, this is just like the overview of criminal law. Why do we need criminal law in the society? That's the question that we are asking ourselves. We need criminal law because man is an animal. The first thing you need to understand, the moment you understand that man is an animal, you understand the reason we need law to put man in the right direction. Man needs to be restrained from himself. Man needs to be told what to do and what not to do in order to be able to live in a society. Naturally, if man were to be living alone in a community, just one person, you don't need law. He can do and undo. But the moment there is another person in that community, because we need to determine what to be right and wrong for individuals of the society and make sure that there is sanity in that society, there has to be law to control the man. And in certain contexts, some laws are just so grave that there has to be certain punishments. And that law is what is known as the criminal law. That is the law of crimes. Do you understand that? So, what we have been saying, what differentiates the criminal law from every other type of law is that the criminal law is the only kind that limits the liberty of a man, that limits the freedom of a man. When you have committed a crime, your liberty will be limited. That is what in our context of today's language is known as prison. You will literally have to go to prison because your liberty will be at stake when you commit a crime. Now, the principal legislation that we will use while studying the criminal law of Nigeria would be the penal code, like I've stated earlier, and the criminal code. Do you understand that? We need to understand the reason for the law. The reason for criminal law is that human beings are just not predictable. And like I said, human beings are animals. And the same way you have to restrict your goats from doing certain things and literally have to beat it, is the same way human beings have to be told what to and what not to do. If not that certain people rape other people, there will be no law against rape. If not that certain people would kill other people without justifiable ground, there will be no law against murder. Do you understand? If not that certain people will kidnap other people, there will be no law against kidnapping. If there were no acts that were existent in the society which brought up a need to curb them, there would be no law of such nature. But because, like I said earlier, human beings are such that you need law to curtail their excesses, to make sure that they do not do things that would not be reasonable in a justifiable society, then you need criminal law to help you with curbing it. Do you understand that? That is the essence of criminal law. I am introducing what exactly criminal law is. And also, when we are talking about the purpose of criminal law, I want us to go to my note yet again. Different theories of crime may arise at different function or purpose of the criminal law. Thus, the purpose of law as may be formulated by the sociological theory may differ significantly from the purpose acceptable to biological, psychological, social psychological, or economic deterministic theory of crime. You may find relief in the American Law Institute Model Penal Code, which informs us that the objective of criminal law include, number one, to forbid and prevent conduct that unjustifiably and inexcusably inflict or threaten substantial harm to individual or public interest, which is what I'm talking about. When it is inexcusable and unjustifiable, criminal law has to step in to make sure that that person doesn't go unpunished. Secondly, to subject to public control persons whose conduct indicates that they are disposed to commit crimes. which is normal in a society. You can't have a society in the sense of a society and certain people will not act anyhow, so to say. If you are looking at the criminology of crime, that is the sociology of crime, how crime come about and all that, you would know that the environment influences the kind of crimes that we have. So if you are living in a part of Lagos that is, on the island and all that, you would know that, there are certain kinds of crime you will find there that you will not find in a place like, Mushi and Ajegule, which is a very rough area. There are certain kind of crime you find in Mushi and Ajegule that you will not find in Lekki and VI. Do you understand that? So when you are looking at criminal law, you also have to look at how it affect the public control and all that. Number 3, to safeguard conduct that is without fault from condemnation as criminal. Number 4, to give fair warning of the nature of the conduct declared to be an offense. Number 5, to differentiate on reasonable grounds between serious and minor offenses. Now, very importantly as well, the Wolfenden Committee on Homosexual Offences and Prostitution in 1957 expressed the view that the objective of criminal law includes, number 1, preservation of public order and decency. Number 2, protection of the citizen from what is offensive and injurious. Number 3, provision of sufficient safeguards against the exploitation and corruption of special groups, that is, the vulnerable groups. These stated objectives are by no means exhaustive, neither are they adequate. For instance, criminal law punishes strict liability crimes, and these offenses are without fault to enhance public safety and welfare. Writers have said that there are 4 aims to criminal law. Number 1, retribution. Number 2, deterrence. Number 3, incarceration, and number 4, rehabilitation and reformation. But punishment is a method by which criminal law seeks to achieve its larger objective. And with that, I have given you what you need to know when you are studying criminal law for the first time. You need to understand the objective behind criminal law. The objective is societally centered. When you are looking at criminal law, look at it from the perspective of the society. But for this law, would the society be sane? Do you understand? But for this law, would the society be sane? So criminal law is like a tool of social engineering, although law is a tool of social engineering. But criminal law particularly is to help make sure or help keep everybody's conduct in check. I cannot get angry and decide to slap you. That in criminal law is an assault. I can go to prison for 2 years if I do that. I cannot get angry and because I have a gun decide to shoot you. I cannot get angry and decide to stab you to death. That is an unacceptable act in our society, and that is what criminal law wants, to make sure that no matter how angry we are, we don't lose our senses, because the moment we do, we lose our freedom. That is the essence of criminal law. If you lose your sense and then act irrationally, act unjustifiably, act unexcusably, then you are going to lose your freedom. So I can't say that because I'm poor or because I don't have money, I want to go and start kidnapping people's children and extorting them of those funds. If I do that, that's kidnapping, life imprisonment. I can't say because I don't have money, or I came from a poor background, or I came from a this background, I want to go and carry up guns and start shooting people, or going to bank to rob people. That's armed robbery. Armed robbery's punishment is death. That exactly is what criminal law is. Now that I know that, which is one of the 4 aims, one of them would be retribution, deterrence, like I said, rehabilitation and reformation. Although that rehabilitation and reformation is less likely done in Nigeria, what is more likely done is the deterrence. It serves as a deterrence factor. I know that if I should carry up arms to try to rob somebody, I am going to be killed, because that's the punishment. It then deters me from doing it, because I do not want to die if I'm caught. Do you understand? Incarceration, where I do not want to also go to prison. I do not want to have to beg guards that I want to eat, have chains all over my body, have to be handcuffed and things like that. Those are the things that help with how our society is being controlled, which is the essence of criminal law. So now, as a lawyer, What your job is to do in this particular area of law is to either prosecute a person or defend a person. Do you understand? And that is what I'll be speaking about in my next class. For you to prosecute a person, what do you prosecute a person on? On what is crime? Do you understand that? What is a crime in Nigeria? What to be regarded as a crime? That is my question. And that's what we're going to be talking about in our next class. We already know what criminal law is, to make sure that certain conduct, that certain act or omission in our society is not allowed. So what are those acts and those omissions that the court will not allow, or the law will not allow? Those acts and omissions are known as crimes. So what exactly is a crime? That's what I will be discussing in my next lecture. Lastly, I would like to leave us with a mini class activity. That's the lecture activity. I want us to discuss certain issues relating to the purpose of criminal law. Can you really say that criminal law prevents unjustified and inexcusable conduct that inflicts or threatens harm? Can we say that the aim of criminal law is justified in our society? Like, we can say that yes, to a particular extent, criminal law has prevented unjustifiable and inexcusable conduct. And secondly, is mere proscription of an act under pain of sanction or even a sentence sufficiently deterrent? I want us to discuss this in the comment section below, and I would like to hear your opinion about the particular subject matter. Thank you so much for listening to this lecture. In my next lecture, I will be discussing what a crime is, like I've stated earlier, and I will see you in my next lecture.